morning. Welcome to our first training mission with the 102nd Albatross Virtual Squadron Academy. I'll be your playing captain and guide you with the cold start procedure. By now you should be familiar with the cockpit, however, take your time, check the extra naval pages for cockpit orientation, press spacebar to continue when you're ready, or backspace to go to the previous instruction. For the pre-start checklist, basically make sure everything is safe and in the correct position. As a reminder, the electrical system takes 60 seconds to warm up, so don't turn on any exterior lights in the bright position during this time to avoid damaging the electrical system. Now use the in-game menu to connect the ground power. When it's done, press spacebar to continue.
Chief, turn on the ground power.
Copy. Ground power is now on.
Great. Next you need to see what you're doing. Turn on the cockpit lights as desired. Next, before starting the engine, turn on the anti-collision lights on the light panel located in the right console near the fuselage. The master light switch on the throttle. Turn on the UHF radio on the right console, setting it to transmit-receive plus guard. Senaki tower frequency is 261.00 or channel 1. Do a radio check, then communicate your intentions with ATC or Unicom, request startup. When clear to startup, and before starting the engine, check left and right side clear.
Call key. Ford 1-1. Request startup.
Ford 1-1. Copy. Cleared for startup.
On the main panel, let's do a quick master light test and a fuel test. Check fuel quantity as planned. Okay, we start the engine in 3 steps. Press the engine start button. When the RPM is at or above 5%, bring the throttle up 1 stage for the ignition. You should be able to hear the sparks. Then, at 15% or above, bring the throttle up a 2nd stage to the idle position. Monitor engine and oil temperature and pressure at all times. Nominal values are 55% RPM, oil pressure 35 to 50 psi, exhaust gas temperature EGT between 200 and 300 degrees Celsius. When the engine is stable, disconnect the ground power and close it.
Chief, turn off the ground power.
Copy.
We'll do a left to right checks, but before, because it takes some time to warm up, let's focus first on the navigation Doppler and computer panels on the right console and give it a little more attention. The nav panel on the top is radar navigation Doppler APN 153, and the nav panel below is the navigation computer system, the ASN 41. Switch the APN 153, the top one, to standby. It takes 5 minutes to warm up. Then, if the system is operating properly, the memory light will go off. The one below, the ASN 41 navigation computer system, will supply information to the pilot about his position, wind speed and direction, distance to destinations and bearing, and ground track relative to true heading. The system can store 2 target destinations without loss of primary data. Present position of the aircraft. 3 modes of operation are available for these systems: Doppler, memory, and air mass mode. The Doppler mode system receives inputs of ground speed, drift angle, true airspeed, and magnetic heading to compute the ground speed and airspeed vectors. The comparison of these two will provide a continuous solution of wind direction and wind speed. The memory mode, whenever there is a temporary loss of Doppler information, will automatically activate the wind memory portion of the ASN41 computer. The computer retains the last value of the wind vector computed and combines the wind vector with the current airspeed vector to form the new ground speed. Finally, the air mass mode, when the Doppler is completely in-op, manually inserted wind settings are updated to combine with current airspeed to solve the ground speed. When the APN 153 Doppler is in-op, switch it off and manually set the wind settings on the ASN41 control indicator panel. Alternatively, you can compute the drift angle and ground speed, or ask a wingman or GCI to do that for you, and set them using the two push-to-set knobs on the APN 153 Doppler control panel. Focus now on the ASN41 navigation computer system. You have the present position of the aircraft, followed by the destination coordinates in degrees and minutes. Both have a mechanical and electrical set knob to change its values. Then you have the magnetic variation counter in degrees and tenths of a degree with a mechanical set knob. On its right, you'll have the wind speed counter, 0 to 300 knots, and the wind direction in degrees, both also with the mechanical set knob. The selector switch on the control indicator panel performs the following instructions. Off position, the system is de-energized. The present and destination coordinates can be manually set in preparation for a mission. Standby position, power is applied, destination D1 is displayed on the counters and also stored in the computer memory circuit. Push to set or slew knobs can be used to set up D1 in the standby position. D1 or destination 1 position, this supplies course and distance information for integration of present position counters on the first leg of the mission. This information can be changed at any time using the slew knobs. When in D1 position, only the slew knobs are usable. The push to set knobs do not function. D2 or destination 2 position provides course and distance for destination 2, all similar to D1. As a good practice, we should always set D2 with home plate coordinates and leave D1 for the waypoints. When you are flying over a waypoint, update D1 with the coordinates of your next waypoint, target or checkpoint. Test position inserts a pre-solved problem into the navigation computer whose solution is displayed by the control indicator
is RTB at 1,800.
Still on the same panel, turn on the ASN41 function switch to test. Check or switch up the BDHI function to nav computer position. This switch is located in the main panel right to the BDHI. Check wind speed should indicate 2 to 3 plus or minus 5 knots. Wind direction 091 plus or minus 5 degrees. Latitude present position shows south integration. Longitude present position shows east integration. BDHI number 2 pointer indicates 30 plus or minus 1 degrees right. BDHI number 1 pointer indication depends on present position and destination of the setting. Next, turn the function selector switch knob to standby and then to destination 2. Check and set the coordinates of D2, the home plate destination available on the keyboard. Next, turn the function selector switch knob back to standby and then to destination 1. Finally, set the D1 coordinates. Check and update, if necessary, the current position coordinates, the magnetic variation, and climb wind speed direction and velocity. Check your briefing page for the wind speed information during climb. When done, turn the function selector switch knob back to standby. Let's review a few important things. Note that the minimum computer operation airspeed for the ASN41 is 100 knots. If you are planning to use an airborne starting point, leave the ASN41 function in standby and switch it to D1 or D2 when passing over that point. If using takeoff point as the starting reference, switch the function knob to D1 or D2 immediately prior to takeoff roll. Also turn the APN 153 function knob to C or length as needed. Also note that when the Doppler operation locks on, memory light out, the computer will switch to Doppler mode and wind information will be automatically computed. To fly the shortest route to your D1 or D2, adjust the aircraft heading to align with the number 1 pointer on BDHI. The ground track or drift angle is shown by the number 2 needle. Only with a no drift condition, these two needles will be aligned. You can also see the range to target on the BDHI ground range counter. Alright, let's move on. Left to right. Back left console, or left elbow, check oxygen on, double check canopy closed and locked. Switch AFCS to standby, it needs 30 seconds to warm up. Check step, augmentation, altitude and heading modes off. Radar mode set to standby, takes 3 minutes to warm up. Next, flight controls check. Spoiler set to arm. Apply full brakes. Bear in mind that engine power above 90% is greater than the brake power. Increase power to 70%. Check spoilers retracted. Set power back to idle. Set spoilers back to off. Full extend speed brakes, then retract speed brakes. Flight control stick 4 directions: aft, forward, left, right and center, rudder left, rudder right, center rudder. Set flaps to full, then retract flaps to half for takeoff. Set trim for takeoff. The manual says 8, I personally prefer 4 with a clean configuration. The trim indicator is located above the APN 153 Doppler panel. Go back to the FCS panel. Now that it's warm up, switch on the stabilization augmentation. On the main panel, we'll ignore the countermeasures for now, the shaft and the ECM panel. We will review them when running the fence checks. Check and set the altimeter pressure and altitude, DNH or TFE as desired. Double check weapon systems off and master arm off. The armament panel is on the lower part of the main panel. Radar altimeter press to switch on. That's the big clock on the right side of the main panel. On the right console, set and check TACAN, channel and mode as desired. IFF is not available at the moment. Far back, last panel, we have the flight controls check systems 1 and 2. 1 has 4 mandatory checks and 2 has 14 checks for maintenance purposes. However, we'll skip those for this version. From there, still on the right, coming up, switch the MCL on and set the MCL channel as desired. On its right, switch the TACAN antenna to auto. Set cabin temperature as desired. Switch cabin pressure set to norm. It pressurizes the cockpit. Now, confirm that the APN 153 navigation Doppler memory light is off. Switch it to test mode. Check ground speed indicator 1 to 1 plus or minus 5 knots. Drift angle indicator 0 plus or minus 2 degrees. Switch the APN 153 Doppler to off. Check ASN 41 computer off. And the cold start check is complete. Let's get ready to taxi. Check or set nav lights to flash. Switch the fuselage, tail and navigation lights on or as required. Request taxi to tower. When clear to taxi, flash the taxi light once to let the ground crew know that you have been given permission to taxi by ATC.
Call key. Forward 1-1. Request taxi to runway.
Forward 1-1. Call key. Clear to taxi to runway 27.
Congratulations. We are now ready to continue to our next lesson, ground taxi and takeoff, traffic pattern and landing. Press escape to exit this training mission.